hello to this edition of Rockies Recap. My name is Steven, along with the great Adam himself. Hi, Mez. Adam, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. I didn't know I was great, but it's good to hear that from you, sir. Thank you.
Well, for those who are wondering, we said last time that it was going to be Tom and Adam in this episode of Rockies Recap. Adam, it sounds like Tom is celebrating his wedding anniversary, so clap, clap in the comments
Yes, he
for
is.
Tom. So congratulations to Tom and enjoy your night. And we'll see Tom in the next recap episode this week, or I should say this weekend. I don't know. My schedule's off, Adam. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the Rockies. Why not? Blame it on the Rockies. Um, but
Probably.
as you can see, Adam is wearing the Rockies New City Connect jersey. It's obviously there's no numbers on it.
Not
But
yet.
not yet, not
Not
yet.
yet.
But hopefully, I'll be able to get one. But if you're wondering, the Rockies will be debuting their City Connects tomorrow. Again, we'll talk more about that at the end of the show tonight. But let's talk about this upcoming. I mean, this past series against the Dodgers, man.
Do we have to?
I mean, do you want to? I mean, if we let's just like kind of just. I mean, we already know the stuff. I
Yeah,
mean,
we'll
people
we'll
watched it. I mean, we can kind of skip over it. I mean, the only
we'll
positives
roll through it, man.
we'll roll
We'll
through
roll
it.
through it.
The only positives in this series, man, was I guess yesterday. I mean, Michael Toglia at first home run of the season, really good to see. Yet he's still striking out a bunch. The Rockies, I think, struck out was it 15 times yesterday as a team, 15 or 16 times, which is just
They struck out. They struck out 16 times.
yeah. So every single game we've been seeing that. Again, we got news today. We'll talk about it here in just literally about a minute or so. But yeah, Marquez, really horrid start to his year, especially the last few games. He's been torched by the Padres, who are on a roll right now, arguably one of the, if not the best team in baseball. And then, yesterday, again, it gets torched by the Dodgers MVP lineup. Shohei Ohtani, man, it's just that guy is just simply incredible. I mean, if you look, I mean, he fell off a pitch that was in the other batter's box. And I think it was in game 2 or something like that. I think Ryan Feltner was pitching. It's just like, how did that guy get that? So I mean,
You want to?
no big surprise here, but I mean, at least the Rockies were a little bit more competitive in the series. There were some positives, but still nothing to be excited about here if you're a Rockies fan, because again, 3-15, worst start in franchise history. And really not any much light at the end of the tunnel, Adam. And of course, we'll talk about that move. But yeah.
You want to we'll just go from game 1 to game 3 and then move on.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, Rockies lost 5-3 game 1, 2-6 game 2. Again, I guess the only improvements that we saw was offensively, but still, it's just strikeouts way too many. Moniak did hit a home run yesterday. I think it was his second out of the year, so that's nice to see. And he's actually, arguably, other than Kyle Farmer and Nick Martini, has been one of our best hitters on the team. But yeah, Kyle Farmer, man, he saved our neck multiple times in the last couple of weeks. And Martini, man, as much as I don't like him hitting number 1 or number 2, that just does not make sense. I mean, it kind of does, given the point that he is arguably one of the best hitters on the team, but it should be giving playing time to some of the younger players, but that's just us. Yeah, I mean, again, it's the results speak for themselves, Adam, and it stinks to see the Rockies this way, but again, it's not super surprising. I mean, in a good way, but also in a bad way. I mean, this is a young roster. The Rockies are getting younger, which is something that we wanted to see coming into this year. Good to see Braxton Fulford get called up. Unfortunately, went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. That's going to happen. And he's a young player. He doesn't have a huge ceiling on him. So, but yeah, I mean, going into the National Series tomorrow, Adam, I think the Rockies, they're going to have to think about how they can, find some sort of way to find leverage or just find any grappling on trying to get some wins here, because it was. I mean, the schedule has not been easy for the Rockies. I mean, you had to play the Phillies, the Padres, the Dodgers, even the Rays are playing pretty good baseball right now, Adam. So, um, I mean, the schedule has not been friendly. So they do give a little bit of a break here against the Nationals, but even the Nationals, the Rockies, they haven't done extremely well against them in recent years. So you only hope that the Rockies can turn around here. And again, we'll get to some of the news once we hear Adam's comments here.
Yeah, so I mean, like you were talking about, we had 16 strikeouts yesterday. So we scored 7 runs, but 16 empty at bats, right? So that's not going to help anything. And in the first game, it was just Kyle Farmer. Kyle Farmer had 2 hits, Moniak had 2 hits, and Martini had 2 hits. Everyone else, I think, was hitless. I think Goodman might have had one in there. But the thing about those games is the Rockies got way behind, and they dug themselves too big of a hole, and that's been a theme throughout the season with the Rockies, unfortunately. But in game 3, if we can just skip to that one for obvious reasons, I was actually pleased with that game because for the first time this year on the road, the Rockies showed some fight. They went down, and then you felt like they had a chance to win the game. Tolia got the grand slam, which I think was absolutely monstrous for him. He needs to get going. As an aside to that, if we look at the supposed big hitters on this team, Tovar's at a 560 OPS, Tolia's a 475, and McMahon's a 651. Those are all below league average OPS. So the Rockies, it's really, when you look at why they're struggling offensively, it's really not a secret. Their big guys are just not doing the job. Hats off to Kyle Farmer, of course, because I don't know where this has come from, but he's been outstanding the whole season so far. And he was one of the guys that I personally just disregarded before the season even started, because I was like, this guy, his career numbers aren't good. He's never been a good hitter. He's had a good OPS against left-handed pitching, but he's been playing against left-handed, right-handed. He's been starting every day. And he's been playing extremely well for the Rockies. So if he keeps playing that well, maybe he ups his trade value or something for the end of the year. But yeah, I was just happy to see the Rockies, even though they dug themselves a hole this time, 7-1, they came back, and they came back quickly. And that's the thing that we rarely see from a Rockies team on the road. But if they want to start winning ball games, they have to start off on the right foot. They need to start scoring first. Because I think Drew Goodman harps on this, or he has harped on it a couple times on the broadcast. Like, the Rockies are not scoring first. And it makes a huge difference. It really does, because it gets you in the groove. It gets you feeling good offensively. It gets you in a positive mindset. Baseball is, I don't have to tell anybody who watches our podcast, it's a challenging game, man, and it will test you mentally. It will make you think. It will make you second guess yourself. And I think there's a lot of that going on with the Rockies right now offensively, which, Steven, is a good segue into why something had to happen today.
Yeah. And I was surprised. I was eating my Chick-fil-A. Love Chick-fil-A, by the way. And so I was eating my Chick-fil-A, and I looked down at my phone, and I see on X, or Twitter, whatever you call it these days, that the Rockies fire Hensley Mullins. And my first or initial reaction was like, okay. I was actually expecting it to be somebody else, and I think we all can know who I'm talking about, because given the rocky start. And so I was like, okay, all right. And then I read, like, just a little bit after that, a little bit more in the caption, that Clint Hurdle is returning to be the Rockies hitting coach. And then I was like, wow, that is kind of surprising, because I would assume that he I don't know how the Rockies approached him with this, because for those wondering, Clint Hurdle's been in the Rockies organization for a long time. I mean, he came back to the Rockies in, I believe, 2022 to work in the front office. And we have Lux here in the comments commenting on Adams sitting
Our
next
guy
to
Lux. Our
um,
guy.
so yeah, so I was surprised, Adam. I was a little surprised that it wasn't Buddy Black because we talked about it numerous times, and I guess we can. I mean, we got time. We've only been in here for about 10 minutes, but you know, something's got to change. And of course, the Rockies did make a move, and at least they're not being complacent. And they were admitting to themselves. Bill Schmidt admitted today that a change needed to be made. But there's a lot of us that are wondering, was it the right decision? And I think a lot of us would say no. And I would say that I don't, and I think all of it, I won't say all because I think there's some out there that's saying, yeah, it was Mullins that he needed to go. But I don't think all the blame deserves to go to Hensley Mullins when he's had good history in his career with a couple organizations. Again, like I mentioned, the Giants, really good success over there when they won those 3 World Series championships, and then got hired by Aaron Boone, arguably one of the best managers in the game. Gets to be a hitting coach for Aaron Judge and the Bronx Bombers. Comes over here to Colorado at the end of the 2022 season to help fix this offense. And the offense doesn't do well for 2 years, minus Nolan Jones and a couple other guys that broke out, in 2023 and 2024. The offense still has been the worst it's ever been in franchise history. And then you go back to, okay, well, what about Dave Magadan when he was here from, I believe, 2019 to 2022? The Rockies offense wasn't horrible, but it was definitely one of the worst, and it just continually got worse, especially when the Rockies started moving away from the Nolan Trevor era. And boy, do we miss that. But, you do have to ask yourself, okay, what's going on here? And so it's just, is it Bud Black's fault? Is it Hensley Mullins' fault? Is it Dave Magadan's? I think it's just, I'm gonna say I think it's a bunch of things on top of one another. It's not just one person's problem; it's multiple. And Lux points it out here that he said I think we should have went outside, not go inside again. I saw an article today talking about when the Rockies did some changes. It's always been, and it's going to be people inside the organization. And Lux does make a good point, and I will say though, Bam Bam Mullins and Dave Magadan were outside hires. Magadan came over, I believe, from Arizona. And he was a good hitting coach because you look at Arizona in the mid 2015s, that Goldschmidt, right? And that's another interesting thing to think about and put in the back of our minds, Adam, because again, you look back at those Diamondback squads, and Dave Magadan was, maybe when he was over there, he was a good hitting coach. But why is he not having success at Coors Field? Buddy Black? Black?
I'm a baseball coach myself.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been a private hitting instructor as well. Sometimes it's not just about the hitting coach himself. Sometimes there's just an unwillingness to change on the player's behalf. And sometimes it's just a bad match when it comes to a hitting coach. It's just not a good philosophical match for what a team wants to do, for what certain players want to do. That can cause a little bit of a rift in the clubhouse, and they can cause offense like what we've seen from the Rockies at the beginning of the season. Like you said, the Rockies are showing hypocrisy here because Hensley Mullins has a great track record, right? And Bud Black has what track record since 2018? I mean, the Rockies have been atrocious since 2009, the beginning of the 2019 season. So for the Rockies to say, hey, we're going to reward Buddy Black another season and then fire a hitting coach who has had a pretty good success in this league is, if it wasn't the Rockies, I would say it would be a pretty confusing move. But when you consider the fact that non-baseball people are making baseball decisions in the Rockies organization, there is a disconnect here. When you have no president of baseball operations, and you have just an owner that's like, okay, well, I have to do something here because we're struggling. he doesn't know what he's doing. And with all due respect to the guy who owns the Rockies, you don't know what you're doing, man. Like we desperately, desperately need a president of baseball operations to do
Mm-hmm.
baseball things
Mm-hmm.
instead of constantly recycling old Rockies everywhere and bringing everybody back. Like, look, I like Clint Hurdle. The memories with Clint Hurdle are phenomenal, right? Back to my early teens. But like the Rockies need something new. So my fear with this hire, Steven, is that they're going to bring in Hurdle as the hitting coach. And then once they see the opportunity, they're going to bring him back as the manager. That is not what the Rockies need. And I understand that people are nostalgic about Clint Hurdle and all that stuff. I get it, but I just don't think that it moves the needle for the Rockies at all.
Yeah, because we mentioned it earlier, like you don't want to have this continuation of a cycle. Like we're gonna repeat this thing again. And Hurdle's not the same. I mean, even managers change, and now their philosophies maybe they don't, but sometimes their philosophy does change, and um, and so yeah, I do agree. I think that should the Rockies gone outside the organization, look at a hitting coach, and done a little bit like deeper digging? Yes, absolutely. Um, I think and maybe this is a fact too because I did tell Adam this before we got in here that I did some research when Clint Hurdle was the Rockies hitting coach at one point in the early 2000s, and they're very decent numbers, very good numbers. Now the thing is, though, we've heard the phrase "things never happen the same way twice." Things never repeat, especially in baseball. Maybe World Series champions, yes, but it's very hard to repeat in baseball. And so let's just let's look at the numbers here. So, uh, if I'm correct, Clint Hurdle was the Rockies hitting coach from 1997 to 2002. Again, I'm reading off of this off of Grok a little bit, so I did a little bit of research off of some other websites and articles. But overall, when Clint Hurdle was the Rockies hitting coach, not the manager, but when he was the hitting coach, the Rockies had an all-time record of 460 wins and 512 losses with a 473 winning percentage. Very mediocre, but not bad. Average offensive stats per season based on the data. So the Rockies averaged when Clint Hurdle was the Rockies hitting coach. The Rockies averaged 288, as a team in terms of batting average. So that's good. On base was 351. That's really good. So get on base. Slugging was 462. Runs per game was 5.48 per game. So again, pretty, right around league average, I would say. Home runs per year, 185. Stolen bases, 108. And if that's per season, we'll take that, man, because this team needs to steal bags. And we talked about Brenton Doyle, Jordan Beck, Zach Veen,
Amador now too.
Amador too. And even though Amador needs to fix his defense, because he made a couple errors in this Dodger series that were like, okay, excuse me, but again, he's young, he'll fix it, or at least we hope. But then OPS plus, which is again adjusted for Coors Field because there's that stat in there, 98.5, which is right around league average. So the Rockies had about a average offense, and Adam, we've had a below average offense for a lot of years. And that's one thing the Rockies have tried to fix. Bring in Dave Magadan, Hensley Mullins. Hasn't worked. And now, now with Clint Hurdle, if the Rockies still continue to lose, I don't think they have to point the finger at Clint Hurdle and say, well, if something's clearly not working, time to let him go. Let's bring on another person for Bud Black.
Well,
you go back to San Diego, man. You look at San Diego Padres. They went through, I mean, of course I'm exaggerating. They went through dozens of hitting coaches. All were fired, and they still cut Buddy Black. But guess what? When the Padres moved on from Buddy Black, guess what? They started winning games. And we're not going to say, like, again, I mentioned this in the previous recap or the previous one before that. I forget now. But I'm not saying every single problem the Rockies have belongs to Bud Black, but it's just there needs to be a change. There had to be a change. And we're not saying that changing the hitting coach was a bad decision, because obviously there needs to be multiple decisions, multiple changes. But the obvious one was the manager position, and they did not do that, Adam. So
Yeah. I would say that I would not expect to see Bud Black fired this year because I just don't
yeah,
see. I don't think the Rockies have it in them. I don't think Dick
yeah,
Monfort has it in him.
he's on the hot
And
seat. I mean,
and
if the
it,
Rockies lose 5 or whatever straight more games, if the Rockies like go 0-6 or 0-7 on this next homestand, he's out. He's out. He's got to.
I don't think so. I don't think
Yeah,
Dick Monfort cares about that.
yeah,
I think he wants to
yeah,
protect his friend, his
yeah,
buddy. And I'm really getting tired of people calling him buddy. Like it's a
yeah,
term of endearment. If you're winning games, I'll call you buddy. I'm not calling you buddy when we're losing 100 games every year. I'm not doing it.
yeah.
I think he is a very arrogant guy who comes off to the media locally as something else, something innocent and lovable. And from a Rocky fan perspective, I just see a guy who loses games. I see a guy who doesn't develop young talent. I see a guy who was brought in to develop pitching and hasn't done that.
Mhm.
And I just want him gone. But I don't think the Rockies are going to do that. However, I would say that since Hurdle is now the hitting coach, they can easily slide him into the manager spot and give him a 10-year deal because that's exactly what they would do because they're the Rockies. But it is not good for the Rockies to do this. They should be looking with a young team
Mhm.
at one of the young managers inside of the organization. Pedro Lopez, Bobby Meacham, or not Bobby. Is it Bobby Scott? Is
Yeah,
it
I think Meacham. Yeah,
Bobby Meacham? Yeah.
yeah.
Manager of the year in 2024 for
Mhm.
Hartford Yard Goats, Meacham. These are the guys that are developing your young talent. So
Mhm.
why are we not bringing them with the young talent? We need guys who know how to speak to and work with young players. And Bud Black and Clint Hurdle are not those guys. They're just not. The game, in my opinion, has passed Clint Hurdle by. Like you were talking about in our pre-meeting, he's like a small ball guy, make contact. That's not what this league values anymore. The league values slugging, OPS, launch angle, home runs. That's what the league values. And so I
Yeah.
don't see this moving the needle for the Rockies at all. And I don't see it as a what's the word I'm looking for? A sincere move by the front office. I think they've got City Connect night coming up. They want to sell tickets.
Yeah.
So they're like, who can we bring in? What name associated with the Rockies can we bring in? And this is why we need a president of baseball operations, because this guy doesn't think in baseball terms. He thinks in terms of like family and I don't even know, but it's not baseball. Okay. He just wants to bring in the same people within his circle of trust. And dude, it's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working. So we, as fans, I want to see justice done for Zach Veen and for Jordan Beck and for Adael Amador and all these guys. They deserve a manager who's going to let them develop. They deserve a chance to play. I don't care if they're struggling right now. You got to let these guys go through their struggles. You can't just give them 20 at bats and send them down, you know? And Bud Black is itching every time this situation comes up to put a veteran in place of those young players, and it drives me insane.
I think, I will say this. I think a lot of the start for the Rockies this year has been, a part of it has been because of these slow starts by the young players. So be it. Let them still play. And I will say that I do like how Zach Veen has played almost every single game that he's been up here. Good job. To Buddy
Keep
Black.
doing it.
Keep doing it.
Keep
But
playing him.
he had the game off yesterday, and what I am concerned about that Buddy's going to have him on the bench moving forward. Just like, no, that's not, that's going to ruin a player's confidence, man. And yeah, so don't do that. But again, the Rockies might do that because again, it's the Rocky way. Um, but yeah, like keep playing the young players. That's what you want to do. And I truly do not believe, because again, there are fans out there that call themselves fans. And again, we had a discussion, I think, in our group chat a few days ago, after the Padres series about how some fans were saying, "Oh, the players stink. We need to trade all these guys away." No, I'm sorry, but it's just these are the same people that were so excited for Zach Veen, and all of a sudden after one series you're giving up on them. When in fact I don't truly believe that it was the entire player's fault. I mean, again, you're running into a buzzsaw in San Diego, but also two very questionable stuff by Bud Black. Bringing in relievers when they should not be coming in, or leaving Kyle Freeland in the game for too long in San Diego when he should have been taken out earlier. But yeah, like it just you got to play the young kids, man, and because that's how they're going to develop. And the thing that's frustrating for a lot of Rockies fans, because we've seen this so many times, Adam, they'll leave the Rockies and they'll succeed somewhere else. And
Mhm.
we'll see it all the time. So don't tell me, oh, the Rockies don't know how to develop. No, the Rockies, again, are they perfect at it? Absolutely not. We've seen a lot of good high prospects come up through the Rocky system and absolutely do not do well. But we've seen a number of them also have success. Ever hear of Todd Helton, developed by the Rockies?
Too low.
Tulo, Cargo's
Garrett
not really.
Atkins,
Garrett Atkins. Again,
Brad Hop,
Brad Hop, Ryan Spielborgs. He didn't have a Hall of Fame career. Corey Sullivan was decent in his prime.
Seth Smith.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about him. I mean, he struck out in the World Series, so don't
He's a
know.
solid player, man.
In 2010, though, I remember his walk off against St. Louis when they made
Yeah,
that
when we were
comeback.
down 9-3 in the ninth.
That was pretty cool. I remember that.
Yeah, it was 9 runs in the ninth by the Rockies.
I think, is that still to this day the largest comeback in Rockies history, or was it?
I think in the ninth inning, I think it is, because
Yeah,
the July 4th game with Matt Holliday against the Marlins, I think we were down like 13-4 or something.
it was like in the
And we
fourth
came
inning,
back and won.
then it was like 18-17.
Oh yeah, Matt Holliday. I just said it. Yeah, Lux.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, but yeah, I
Charlie
mean, yeah.
Blackman.
So
Dexter Fowler.
Yeah, another one. So the Rockies, they have developed good players. It's not like they never do. No, they do. It's just the Rockies. They have to play these players, man. It's that simple. And I think Zach Veen, this guy, regardless of where he was going to get drafted, he's going to be a solid player. I don't care if he was going to get drafted by St. Louis or Miami. I don't care. Zach Veen's going to be a good ball player. You just have to let him play. And there's talent there. But the problem is, we've seen before, Bud Black is like, well, he's struggling, so we're going to have him rest a little bit. No, you don't do that, man. You don't do that.
Well, and I personally, and you know this, Steven, I think we're both there. I have unrelenting belief in Zach Veen. And something that baseball or that Rockies fans need to understand is sometimes a player is not good the first time you call him up. Sometimes you call him up, he's got to learn a couple things, go down to the minors and come back up. Look at Spencer Torkelson, dude. That guy everybody gave up on him in Detroit. And this year he has been phenomenal so far. And I'm rooting for him because I know all the terrible things people have said about him being a number one pick and having all this talent. I'm really a big fan of his. But people have to understand that in baseball, these guys just don't – it's not a Bo Nix situation. You just don't get drafted to come up and just make a difference right away. If you do, you're one of the very few players. You're a Bryce Harper. You're a Mike Trout. You're one of those guys. But there's very few of those guys, okay? So a lot of times you have to deal with a player's growing pains. And that's the thing about the world today is – nobody has any patience. Everybody wants everything right this moment. They gotta have it, and if it's not good, then I don't want it.
I quit.
It applies to relationships. It applies to TV shows. It applies to sports. It applies to everything. Like you want it, you want it, you want it, you want it now. You can't wait. There's no patience, and that's what we deal with as sports fans. You see Zach Veen come up for what 15 at bats probably so far. Maybe 25 at bats.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
So it's like, dude, that's not even close to a good sample size. He has 28 at bats, guys. Okay. So tell a friend to relax. All right. These young players are going to struggle when they see the Freddie Peraltas and the the Dylan Ceases of the world. Like that's just how it is. They've never seen these guys before. So we have to give these guys a chance, man. And that's the Rockies at this point. If they do fire Bud Black, it will signify that, hey, you know what? This isn't working out. The
Mm-hmm.
young players got to play. You're not, this isn't working with you and the young players. There's no dynamic here that's going to allow us for success in the future. We have to move on. And I really wish the Rockies would, I think Dick Monfort will finally see this when it affects his bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to unveil these uniforms this weekend, and nobody's going, dude. Nobody wants to watch a 3-15 baseball team. So when it finally affects his bottom line, that's when he'll start making decisions that benefit the Rockies, or at least hopefully will benefit the Rockies. But until then, I just don't think he doesn't understand what he's supposed to do. He's just not a baseball guy.
I truly believe the Rockies are getting to the point of being extremely desperate, because I went to, as you guys know, I went to a Rockies game a few weeks back for the home opener, right? And I got immediately an email saying, "We want you back. We want you back at Coors Field. We'll give you like a free whatever for coming
Same.
back." And it's just like, thanks, but I don't want to watch a 3-15 ball team. Again, I know some people have season tickets. Hats off to them. Love you guys. Keep doing it. I mean, if you want to keep doing it, great. For me, I usually go once or twice a year. Whereas when 2017, 2018 was coming around, I was in school, so it was very hard for me to go to baseball games. I was in high school, so it was almost impossible. And plus work. I wish I could go to almost every single Rockies game. If I lived down in Denver, dude, I would be going to every game. But it's just like I don't think I would want to watch a 3-15 ball team.
Not when it's an hour away, dude.
Dude, like when I was watching the last few innings of the home opener game, where the Rockies had multiple times where they could have won the game or taken the lead or whatever, it's just like, this is not fun, man. And you're standing in 27-degree temperatures, and it's just like, can I go home? Like I love Coors Field. Whenever I go to Coors Field, I just love it. There's just a magic around it, man. If you love baseball, and again, most of you guys, do. I mean, why would you be watching this show? But like it's magical, man. And Adam, you were there just a week or two ago. It's an awesome feeling going to the ballpark. It's just like
beautiful park, man.
It's
such a
wherever you go.
shame.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful vibe to it. I mean, great fan base, but it's just like we want to see better baseball. But I truly believe that we're getting to the point where the Rockies are getting desperate, and maybe that is actually a good thing, because it's just like we're tired of being complacent in many areas of the team. Like, we're tired of seeing these prospects get traded, or we let go of these prospects and they do well in other teams, or we get rid of these ball players and these guys were fan favorites here in Colorado and they actually did well. And I will say this, though, I do think moving on from Nolan Jones might actually been the good thing, because again, it's early. But Nolan Jones, man, he's really struggling for the Guardians, man. He's barely hitting over 150 or 160. And it's unfortunate, but we want to see a winning ball team on the field, and I think we have the players that have the chance to get to that point. It's just that we want the right people in place to do that, right? And we feel like that Bud Black is not it. We feel like some of the other coaching staffs might not be it.
Nobody on this staff is it. Nobody, including Clint Hurdle.
Yeah, and so I just feel like the Rockies need to do something here. And I think, because again, we're already losing a big part of the fan base, and you look over in Pittsburgh, man, it's horrible.
Yeah, and they've got one of the most electrifying pitcher in baseball, and nobody wants to go.
If healthy, he's going to win the Cy Young this year, and this team might be, it might not even be mediocre at best, dude. Like, that's how bad the Pirates are. Their offense is just not doing well. They have injuries. Their pitching staff is good. Their pitching staff is postseason eligible. I mean, they have a postseason type of pitching.
They're the East Coast version of the Mariners.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. They got what's his name, Jared Jones, who I absolutely love, right behind Paul Skeens. Man, they have potential. It's just they don't build around them. And it reminds me of like when after 2018, we went to the playoffs. We just didn't build around Nolan. We didn't build around Trevor. We just stayed complacent, saying, "Oh, you know what? We'll get rid of DJ. We'll bring in Daniel Murphy."
That's why Nolan asked for a trade.
It's just the Rockies. They were not building around exactly. Like, they weren't building a winning, successful, sustaining ball club. And so it's just they shut the window on themselves, and now they're trying to dig out of a hole, and it's almost to the point where too much damage has been done to where they have to almost in many ways tear the entire thing down and start all over. And I
And
think
that
the Rockies are afraid of that, Adam. I think they're afraid of that.
they are. I don't want to see them necessarily do that because I don't want to lose guys like Doyle
No,
and
no, no,
Tovar
no.
and
I
guys
mean,
like that.
especially Tovar, you can't get rid of him. I mean, he's signed for like 8 more years or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, so was Nolan. So,
Well, I mean, no, I mean, we're. I think this is the last year we're paying for Nolan, or it's next year, and we're only
but
going to be
still,
paying
we had
5
to
years.
trade him with like how many years left on his deal? 5.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like, but
roughly.
but but I want to get to something that Lux is asking because Lux is like our loyal fan and he wants our opinion on something. I'll answer this question first, Lux. I don't have a name on it yet.
Mhm.
I'm going to take it to Coors Field at the Diamond Dry. I think it's called Diamond Dry Goods Store. I always
Yeah,
just call everything Rocky's Dugout Store,
good
but
store though. It's a good
yeah,
store. I love that
they're
store.
going to customize it for me. I kind of want to get like Cargo or like Tulo
Ooh,
or somebody
yeah,
nostalgic on there. But if
yeah.
I do somebody current, it will most definitely be Brenton Doyle. So when I get that customized, I'll show you guys. And then
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Steven,
yeah.
I'll let you go
Well,
first on this one. What do you think?
it's not going to happen. I mean, it would be awesome, but Charlie's just not that type of guy that would manage. I think he would be just like, you know what? I just want to go fishing. He's that type of guy that would go fishing in the center field, and he would be the manager. He's like, yeah, why don't we call somebody? Charlie, sorry, but he's not. He's not. Like, no offense to him. I think it would be cool to see him. I think he'd definitely be a better upgrade over Bud Black, but I don't think he's gonna do it.
Yeah, I don't.
Ooh, I completely forgot. Let's talk about that other guy that went on the IL again. Should we talk about him?
Yeah, I'll answer
Yeah,
his question, then we can go to that
yeah,
real quick.
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of like players with no manager experience being put into manager positions because, as you guys probably know, I'm a Mariners fan too. And Dan Wilson was just like handed this job because the fans know him,
Mhm.
which the Mariners are just another unserious organization in Major League Baseball. So I'm not a huge fan of that kind of stuff. If the guy like goes down to the minors and learns how to become a manager and then works his way up, sure. But I don't think that clubs should be considering former players as managers. It just
Yeah,
doesn't work out. Like it doesn't make
yeah.
sense.
I,
Like
I think the hiring for the Giants, Buster Posey, that was great. But Buster Posey is not manager material. Um,
no, he's just the GM though, right?
Yeah, and that could be something that Charlie could definitely do. I mean, he's working the Rockies front office. I think as I believe as a scout. I mean, he's technically assistant to the general manager, but he's technically a scout. So I hear. I think especially in the Georgia area, which is where Charlie lives. Um,
Stephen Vogt had Lux. I think he was in the minor leagues for like a year or two before the Guardians made him the manager. So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, I mean, the Rockies should be considering somebody in their minor league system. If they refuse to go
yeah,
outside of the circle of
yeah.
trust, they
Hmm.
got to consider somebody in the at the lower levels. But it worked out pretty well for the Avalanche.
Yeah, and
You know,
another option, which I actually really would like to see, and I think somebody asked for
Skip
on
Schumacher.
not Skip Schumacher. That might have been one of
Oh,
them, but I think one of somebody else asked me personally which person I'd like to see as our next manager. Our third base coach Warren Schaefer. He was a Rockies prospect a while ago, maybe like 5, 7 years ago ish. He's on the younger side. I believe he's in his late 30s, early 40s. I think he went as high as Hartford and then just like retired. But this guy, again, he's been in the Rockies minor league system. He knows a lot of the younger players. Let him get some experience as a manager, and he did manage for the Isotopes. And it's very hard to play in Albuquerque. And it's not even I like, and this is a thing that we don't really cover a whole lot. And that's more of Blake Street Banners thing because they cover the minor leagues. But in that division in minor league baseball, I mean, the Rockies have to contend with Oklahoma City, which is the Dodgers AAA affiliate. We just can't get rid of the Dodgers, man. I don't know why.
we
And I
will
think,
when alignment happens.
yeah, which is going to happen
We'll
hopefully in the
talk
next
about
few
that
years.
later.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of discussed it, which it was really really fun though. Like I think we didn't talk about it in the last recap or a couple of
It was just you and
recaps.
I
It was
talking.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was at the end after we hit the stop button on the record. Um, but yeah, El Paso, that's another team. I think that's in the same division as the Rockies AAA affiliate. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just they need to do something there. They need to. Again, we've been talking about it. They need to make some changes here, and because again, the fans are growing restless, and the fans are not going to show up. And no matter how much the Rockies are going to try to market and bring in people, it's just that nobody's going to want to watch a 3-15 team or a team that's going to lose 100 plus games this year. And I didn't I didn't put this out in the group chat because I was just doing other things last night. But I truly believe that the Rockies could be worse than last year's Chicago White Sox team, and that's not exaggeration. And I hate saying that, but it's possible.
Well, yes, you're correct, but I don't think so. Here's the thing. If the Rockies were to lose 90 to 100 games, but they were fun and exciting to watch, but they just couldn't stop anybody on defense,
Yeah.
because the pitching isn't good, at least they're scoring runs and it's palatable. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Dolander's the only guy who can pitch, but these guys are hitting tanks at Coors Field, Veen and Tolia and all these guys. That would make it palatable for Rockies fans. That would bring people to the ballpark. Be like, okay, this is exciting offense to watch at least. At least we'll be entertained. Nobody wants to go watch a team strike out 16 times. So from that perspective, I understand why the Rockies fired Hensley Mullins. But I think they made the wrong they fired the wrong guy.
Yeah.
I do like your idea of Warren Schaefer though, but I think that we should talk about Mr. Bryant because it is a sad situation.
Yeah.
But somebody in that front office has to answer for this kind of stuff, man.
And there's
Like,
only
this
one
is
guy
just
there's only one guy that should be the one that's
right.
Yeah, and we already know who it is, Dick Monfort, because he was the guy that signed him. And I know people say, well, technically Bill Schmidt. Nah, it will
Well,
really
Schmidt loved Chris Bryant,
right.
though.
And as a young kid, they knew each other because again, Bill Schmidt. And I will say this because again, Tom pointed out in our group chat today because I watched the video this afternoon. If you are a regular watcher of, I think it's called Foul Territory, which is a really cool baseball podcast, I'd highly check it out. They had Jim Bowden on, and they were talking about the Rockies and Bud Black and Bill Schmidt. And Jim Bowden actually did say that he really likes Bill Schmidt, but as a scout, Bill Schmidt's an excellent scout, which is why the Rockies have had really good players like Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story. The Rockies, they know how to scout, man.
He's out of his realm, dude.
Yeah, arguably one of the best in the game. And as a matter of fact, he used to work with the Indians back in the day. A lot of Rockies, former Rocky or current Rockies guys used to be in Cleveland. It's several years back, and that's when the Indians were really really good, man. So, but Jim Bowden did talk about there needs to be changes, and they didn't talk about Chris Bryant, but yeah, it just all roads around. We need to make some changes, but heading into this Chris Bryant situation, man, like again, one man needs to answer for that, and that's Dick Monfort. But for Chris Bryant, man, I think it's pretty safe to say that his career at least should be done because you look at the injury, the back injury, and everything. It's not. You rarely hear players where they recover from this. It's career ending, man. It's done. Like his body is falling apart. All signs points to really his back is gone. His back is gone, man. It's you can't recover from that, and it's really it's a career altering injury, and it was bound to happen. And I look at it as more of a sad story than frustrating because it kind of makes sense now because we all wondered why a couple years ago. Why isn't Brian doing well? Why is he not performing well? Why is he getting injured? Well, it's because it's because of his back. Is ever since he left Chicago, and he had this issue in Chicago in his last couple years there. He had
they let him go.
They let him go for a reason, or they traded him to San Francisco, and the San Francisco did not re-sign him.
They let him go too.
They let him go. And now there was a few teams that were interested in him. However, they were like 3 or 4 year deals. Maybe still not the greatest in terms of years, but they wanted him for less money and less years. But the Rockies were the only team that were like high. It was 7 years, $82 million, and Chris Bryant jumped right on it. And I think it's just again, it's more sad than frustrating because again, you look at Chris Bryant, man. This guy has had great history. I mean, he won MVP, World Series MVP in 2015. Was it no 2016 or 2015? I'm
I
off.
think it
No,
was
2016.
2016.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2016. I'm thinking of 2015 was the
Royals.
Royals. Yeah, Kansas City. But yeah, 2016 World Series MVP, National League Championship Series MVP. I think he won the MVP in the National League one year. So it's just and Rookie of the Year. He won the Rookie of the Year, dude. So this guy has really good success, but we've seen players to where their careers just fall off because of
Just
injury.
had
And it's not, and I truly do believe that Chris Bryant is not Anthony Rendon 2.0. It's more of a sadder story. Chris Bryant wanted to play. He really wanted to play, but his body would just not allow him to do that. And
yeah.
that is the sad reality of it. And at the end of the day, and again, we might be making a Chris Bryant post soon talking about it. But when that time comes to where Chris Bryant does leave organization, the Rockies do let him go, it's going to be more of a sad thing than frustrating because it's just like this guy, if he could have been healthy in his career, this guy could still, he might not be as good as what he was in Chicago in his first few years, but it's sad to see what injuries can do to a player. And it's just unfortunate. But in the long run, I think it's going to help the organization.
Yeah. So first and foremost, if Chris ever sees this, I feel for you, man. I love playing baseball as you do, and I would be devastated if I found out something like that was keeping me from playing the game. So I agree with you, Steven. I don't think this guy is just trying to cash a check and not play because he doesn't want to play. He doesn't have any grit or effort. I think it's just his body, dude. It's just not. It is not cooperating with him. It is not allowing him to perform at a level in which we are used to with Chris Bryant. And it's been really unfortunate, man. I think Tom said something about it in our team chat. They'll probably have to reach some sort of settlement with MLB and Chris Bryant because he's just been injured and he can't finish out his contract. And it leaves a giant hole in the Rockies lineup because you're thinking when you sign Chris Bryant, that's your middle of the order guy for the next 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is probably hyperbole, but I think he played like 50 games in 3 or 4 years with the Rockies. Like it just hasn't been good. And my biggest fear from the Rockies' perspective is that's going to keep them from wanting to sign free agents in the future because the Ian Desmond was a disaster. Chris Bryant was a disaster. It's just really unfortunate. But Chris, we feel for you, man. I've never booed you. I've made jokes sometimes, but like I never like rooted against you or like I wanted you to succeed, man. And it just unfortunately just never worked out here. And we hope that your health in your normal everyday life is not affected because that would just be terrible. And by all accounts, we've heard that Chris Bryant's a great guy, a great dad, a great guy in the clubhouse and all that stuff. So it really is sad, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to give me Chris Bryant or prime Chris Bryant, prime Anthony Rendon, easy prime Chris Bryant, dude. Again, that when healthy, when he was with the Chicago Cubs, man, 2016, 2017, that's a guy you do not want to face at the plate. As a matter of fact, and again, some people might forget this. Chris Bryant's first walk-off home run was against the Colorado Rockies, and that was in Chicago. And I believe John Axford was our closer at the time. I remember that game. As a matter of fact, I think that was the same game that we traded Troy Tulowitzki to the Toronto Blue Jays because I remember that game. Why does it sound like I sound like Steve Rogers from Captain America?
You sound very sad.
Yeah, very sad because it was kind of a sad time in Rockies history because we just traded like a perennial shortstop. But it was actually, look in hindsight, it was actually even though the return was horrible, thanks Jeff Bridich, it actually brought in Trevor Story. So again, it was kind of a win-loss situation, but it's just like, why Jose Reyes?
It brought Story the next year, yeah, because I
Yeah.
remember having a conversation with a couple of people, and I was like, "It's gonna be Story time, dude! Like he's coming up," and people were like, "Oh, he's not ready, And then the first game, he comes up and hits 2 bombs off Zach Greinke.
He was a Cy Young. I think he was either won the Cy Young that year or coming off of a Cy Young victory, I
Yep.
think, or something
And
like that.
by the way, rooting for you as well, Trevor, out in
Oh
Boston,
yeah,
dude. Please
absolutely.
stay healthy. and do your thing, dude. Because I know that Boston fans can love that guy as much as we did when he was here, dude. I miss so much the Cargo, Tulo,
Mm,
or not even Cargo, Story, LeMahieu, Arenado course so much, dude.
yeah,
Like, and
yeah.
to your point earlier, man, we can and have developed great players in the
Mm-hmm.
past. It will happen again, and that's why people need to be patient. If you know, am I saying Zach Veen is going to be the next Cargo? No. Could he be? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but we need time to figure this stuff out. So be patient, Rockies fans, with these young guys. Baseball is not easy to play. I don't know if any of you guys play, but trust me, man, I've
Yeah,
been playing my whole life. It
yeah.
is a frustrating and challenging game, and these guys are playing against the best pitchers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We need to give them some grace. I no grace for Bud Black, but for the players. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we've talked about this before, but Lex points it out that not Cargo, KB and Arenado, they were in trade rumors at one point where the Rockies wanted to trade Arenado to the Cubs for Chris Bryant. And it goes to show you that the Rockies have always had interest in Chris Bryant. We almost drafted him, but then he went to
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. So it just, it goes to show you the Rockies scout very well because it's like, hey, and they wanted to draft Mickey Moniak, and of course, maybe that was a good thing that they didn't draft him. But at the same time, though, I mean, the Angels, they don't draft and develop very well either. So I mean, I will say that in my opinion, I do think the Rockies do draft and develop
They are
much,
worse than the
much,
Rockies at
yeah,
draft and
much better
develop.
than the Angels. The Angels, they do not know how they. Remember that one year where they drafted were pitchers and it did nothing for them. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they
anyway,
drafted that one guy who threw like 103 in college, and he can't throw strikes to save
no,
his life.
no. Well, actually, I want to say we traded for one of their pitchers, and was it Jake Madden or whatever his name is, or Mason Albright? No, Mason Albright. I think he was an Angel, one of those Angels pitchers. But anyways, um, but yeah. So again, we're thinking about you, KB, man, and it's unfortunate, man. It's one of the saddest stories in baseball history, I think, at the end of the day, because this guy could have won multiple World Series rings if he would have stayed healthy, or at least could have won multiple MVP awards, batting titles. But it's sad. But that's baseball, man. I mean, this kind of reminds me of Billy Beane. I mean, he was one of the best players in the world, and he was in high school, and I was the Mets were giving him a big contract, and never turned out right. I mean, injuries, but also performance-wise, just didn't become the player that a lot of people were hoping for him to be. And I think for a lot of us Rockies fans, we're expecting Chris Bryant to really push this team back into playoff contention, or at least a wild card contention. And the Rockies didn't have necessarily a bad lineup, man. I mean, while we were waiting for Tovar and some of these prospects, we felt like, hey, this is a stepping stone in the right direction. But the problem was it was very reliant on Chris Bryant staying healthy and performing. But when Chris Bryant went down, that's when everything just fell apart, man. And I remember how bad the Rockies were in 2022, and then it just went on from there. So now the Rockies have to. Now it truly feels like it's over. Like Chris Bryant is done. It's
Yeah,
over. So now the
man.
Rockies have to refine their identity, and I think it's actually a good thing for this team because it's just like, let's start over.
Youth
Youth, exactly,
is
and
their identity.
that's why it's good to see them call up Braxton Fulford. And I know some people saying, well, he's not even a top prospect. Still, some of these guys might click, man. You never know. It's baseball. Some of these guys, we talk about prospects. Some of these top prospects, man, that are going to be drafted this year in the MLB draft, they're not going to click. We hate saying that, but it's the truth. We a few years ago, I remember or a number of years ago, Rockies drafted Riley Pint, arguably one of the best pitching prospects in the game, and we thought he was going to be an ace for this team. We thought, hey, we finally got our guy, and the
Out of the
guy,
league.
yeah. And unfortunately, we feel bad for Riley because he kind of had the same situation with KB. Just could not stay healthy, could not command. The only good pitch he had was his fastball, and that was it. His command was just horrible. But yeah, man, it's just, you really hope that some of these guys will click. And Condon, that's another conversation because he's been on the IL with that wrist injury that he got in minor league
He'll be
camp.
fine.
He'll
He
be
will be
fine.
fine.
Again,
He's going
there's
to be
there's
a
these
slugger,
people.
dude.
There's these people are saying, oh, Condon, he's never been able to hit well with a wooden bat. you're talking a small sample size. I mean, he played in the COD League for a very short period of time, and he's barely played. He hasn't even played pro ball yet, man. So give Condon his due. Let him develop. He'll be fine. This guy won the Golden Spikes award, and again, you're some people are hoping that this isn't a bust. No, dude, like this guy. I'm still kind of shocked the Reds didn't take him. I mean, a lot of Reds fans were very unhappy that they didn't pick Condon, and the Rockies they got themselves a hitter. So be patient with Condon, even if it takes a little bit longer. I don't like again Wyatt Langford too soon to be called up by the Rangers, man.
He's good this year, but he was
He's gonna,
atrocious last year.
Yeah, so let the Rockies take their sweet time, develop Charlie Condon, and I truly believe that. And again, maybe the Rockies saw this coming with Chris Bryant. They were like, hey, Charlie Condon, a lot of his similarities with Chris Bryant. Let's draft Chris Bryant 2.0. Maybe he'll be a little bit more healthier. Maybe this guy's might be even more better than Chris Bryant will ever be. So I don't know, man. Let's be patient with these young kids and the prospects. We'll see what happens from there.
And before we get out of here too, if the Rockies do this right, their infield could be Tolia, Chase, Laviolette, Tovar, and Condon in like 3 years.
Yeah.
You're telling me that offense isn't going to hit, dude? I think arguably, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, as we get closer to the draft, Laviolette is the best hitter in the draft. Even better than Holiday.
And we really want Holiday. I mean, either one would be awesome because I think Holiday's going to be a hitter, dude. Like just like his brother, Jackson. And I think Lux pointed out in the comments here that a lot of people are down on Jackson Holiday. Oh, he's a bust, dude. Just hit a grand slam the other day. He'll be fine. He's 22, 21 years old.
Yeah, so, these guys don't just come up. It's so rare, and people don't remember. They think everyone just comes up and takes the league by storm. It just doesn't work out. It just doesn't work that way, dude.
Yeah.
So people just need to be patient. But yeah, if you have an infield of Tolia, Laviolette, Tovar, and Condon,
or Amador
in the next 3 years, well, Laviolette is the guy with the better hit tool and better player than Amador. But maybe Jace plays third base and then Amador plays second, and Condon just DHs.
I do believe that Laviolette he's more. I mean, he's no more of an outfielder, but he can play second base though. That's the versatility, and we do know Rockies love their versatile players, and I think Laviolette is on their number one list. I mean, he's been on fire for Texas A&M so far this year, dude.
He is a great hitter, dude.
Some people have him going 1-1, dude.
He should go number one.
If he goes number one, and we get Holiday at 4.
Or at 4, he won't get past Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, so who has number one? Angels? No, Nationals, Angels.
It's Nationals, Angels, Mariners, Rockies.
Yeah. Hey, at least your Mariners are going to get a solid pick. You just don't hope that they punt it like the Raiders do.
Oh, my goodness. I don't want to talk about the Mariners and their crap. But yeah, Holiday could draw. I don't think he's going to get past Seattle.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
But hey, you never know. But I do believe the Rockies are going to get somebody good at number 4. Again, it's a top pick, but this is the last year, man. I mean, actually,
before they can't pick in the top 10 anymore.
Yeah. So was it next year? Next year, the Rockies.
Next year,
the highest will be with number 10, and so hey, the Rockies got Dollander at 9, so it tells you something that the Rockies do know how to draft well.
Hey, and on that note, Steven, Dollander, Tovar, Doyle, Tolia. These guys are still guys to get excited about. I know that we're 3-15. I know that it seems rough right now, guys, but support the guys that are the building block for the next era of winning Rockies baseball. You just it doesn't mean you have to go to the games and stuff, but we got to stop this negativity for every game, guys. Like, we need to look at the positive side of what's going on with Rockies baseball, which there isn't a lot, but there isn't nothing either.
Yeah.
We got 2 gold glovers up the middle. Tolia is going to turn it around. He's going to win a gold glove too. You've got Condon coming. You got Veen. You've got Beck. Like, we have guys that aren't going to pan out, probably some of them, but they are. It's time to be excited about them now. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well, one nice thing is that Rockies fans, if they do play tomorrow, which again,
I doubt
it's
it.
it's unlikely, but it could still happen. I mean, it snowed on opening day, and they still played through it. I mean, nobody went to the game. I mean, after the end of the last, at the end of regulation, once the ninth inning came, everybody just left because it was so cold. But it's supposed to snow tomorrow. I still think that there's a decent chance they'll play. I mean, if it's snow, they'll play, but if it's raining, they won't play. But should the Rockies play tomorrow in their new City Connect jerseys, we already know who's going to be pitching. That's going to be Mr. Chase Dollander, who's going to look absolutely sick in that City Connect jersey. And if they're wearing the pink sleeves, dude, that's going to look so awesome because Adam posted it out on his Instagram. Go check him out on Instagram. He posted a story of MLB The Show, and they released a little bit of pink sleeves on there. And dude, that looks so cool.
It was
And
easier for me to digest the uniforms
yeah,
once I saw them on the game, and I
yeah,
just as a disclaimer for everyone who saw my opinion on the uniforms, I like the tops now that they have numbers on them.
it's the pants.
It's the pants.
Yellow.
Why are the pants white? There's no white here. There's no white on the hat.
Yeah.
It should be like blue pants would have looked so dope, dude. Or
Yeah,
purple pants,
yeah,
yellow pants,
yeah,
any pants except for white would have been so sick, dude. And
yeah,
they would have had like the best jersey in the league, dude.
yeah. I
But I
mean,
still like it. I still like it.
yeah. I I'm still growing over. Again, I still would have preferred buttons. I'll say this probably till the day I die. I'm
It's
gonna say
so
it,
comfy though, dude. It's
but
so
it is.
breathable and comfy. It's
It is.
nice, man.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's gonna actually help the Rockies win some more games.
Yeah, maybe. But
Maybe.
yeah, go get you guys one of these, man.
Yeah.
They're pretty sweet. I
Yeah.
don't like the one without the number. I
No.
already
No.
complained about that enough
Yeah.
for you guys. But when I
Yeah.
get the number on there, it'll be sick. So
Yeah. I think right now, again, it's unfortunate, and I don't know why they're doing this, but right now the only players available are McMahon and Bryant, and of course nobody's gonna buy a Chris Bryant jersey. Um, but yeah, as Lex pointed out, only white is Adam's shirt underneath. uh,
And
but
that's
yeah,
only because I'm wearing a Rockies. I found a vintage Rocky shirt the
yeah,
other day at Shields
yeah.
of World National League Champions
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
from
think
2007.
yeah, I
It's
saw that.
dope, dude.
Yeah. So
But
again,
yeah, we probably should get out of here, man.
yeah, got to get out of here. But folks, the Rockies are going to be playing against the Nationals here. It's a 3-game series at Coors Field. It's going to be a cold one over the next couple of games. Sunday looks a little bit better, kind of reminiscent of the opening series against the Athletics. Hopefully, it's a different result where the Rockies actually succeed because Adam, they have yet to win a series. So hopefully, this is the series the Rockies can hopefully turn around and maybe have some luck on their side with Clint Hurdle as their hitting coach. We'll
Better
see.
days, boy. Better days, though.
So we have Dollander versus Mackenzie Gore tomorrow, and then we have a pitcher of what's his name, Lord, whatever his name is, last name Lord for the Nationals against Kyle Freeland, and then for Sunday I'd have to pull that up. Give me 1 second here, guys. It will be Jake Irvin versus Antonio Senzatella. Oh boy,
Jake Irvin is trash, so the Rockies should
yeah.
be able to get some runs that day.
His ERA is 3.91, but again, it's early in the season, and Senzatella had a pretty decent ERA, but now it's inflated a little bit. But anyways, guys, got to get out of here. Praying that the Rockies can win at least a couple of these games, especially in the new City Connect uniforms. It's going to look so awesome. Unfortunately, there's no going to be no sunset tomorrow for these jerseys for the sun to glare off these jerseys. That's going to be sad. But you know what? Maybe in the snow, it'll be better because if you guys saw the pictures of the releases, they shot
They did them in the snow.
and it looked pretty dope. So either way, I think it's going to look still pretty good tomorrow if they do play tomorrow. So you want to make sure you stay tuned for Rockies content because it's going to be pretty dope because we got some really cool graphics coming out tomorrow for the City Connect. So it's going to be special. Anyways, we got to head out of here. If you don't follow us at Rockies Now, follow us at Instagram, Twitter, /X, and Threads. At Rockies Now, go follow us on X and Instagram with Adams, whatever you call it, whatever. If you want to profile name, Milehad Mez at Instagram. I'm Stephen Cross at X. Go follow us if you have any Rockies questions or if you just want to follow us. Again, we got to head out of here. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching.
Thank you.
This
Thank you.
edition of Rockies Recap. We guys hope you have a great night, and hopefully the Rockies can turn some things around and we see better baseball. But right now, it's not looking too good, Adam. But
Go Rocks.
We'll try to stay positive. All right. So as always, go Rocks.